the next tutorial of Android app development program. In this Android development program, we are going to learn the basics of Java. So, we are going to learn the basics of the Java since we use the Java coding in the Android app developments. We use the basic code of Java for the purpose of doing programs. Firstly, we have to learn about what is the Java language and what are the different data types and variables in the Java language. So now this is the first presentation we are preparing here. They are data types and variables. Today we are going to discuss about the data types and the variables. What is the data type? It's a fixed amount of data stored in a particular variable. This is called as a data type. Generally, variables declares a data type to store a value. Every data type consists of a certain amount of memory in it. It is allocated to the given number or by the given chance. If the memory is allocated for the 2 bits of the memory, it allocates only 2 bits of a memory. If it is a greater than value, it doesn't take any memory in it. It only takes how much what amount of energy data type, what amount of memory it requires. It will take that much amount of memory and it leaves the remaining memory into a garbage value. So now we are discussing about the data types. In Java there are many data types. Among them, these are the main 4 data types which are classified into 4 types. They are integers, floating point, characters and booleans. Integers means the values which are from minus infinity to plus infinity including 0. These are called as integer values. So we can give any of these integer values in these integer data types. Float point data types. Coming to the float point data type. What is a float point data type? Float point data type means, for example, there is a float point data type called as 4.000 or 4.325. These are considered as a float point data types. Like decimal numbers considers on float point data types like 4.325 or 3.2569. These are the decimal numbers which are considered as a float point data types. Now coming to the next, character data types. These character data types are considered as alphabets or uppercase letters or lowercase letters. These characters can be like A, comma, J, comma, K, comma, A, capital letters or small letters or big letters or DC, or you can give your name like a string. Now strings are different from characters. Like string contains a group of characters. We will discuss in the later slides. This boolean. Coming to the booleans, these are the expressions which are true or false. Like boolean means it's a value given to a number which is true or false. If it is true, the given conditions will be executed. If it is false, the program executes its output briefly. So boolean, these are the boolean data types and the integer data types and floating point data types. Next, coming to the next data types, integers. Integers in this integers there are many columns like byte, short, int and long int. We can call it as long int, or in C language we call it as a long int. Here we call it as a long. So 1 byte consists of 8 bits of memory in it. This is a binary division code, so 1 byte equal to 8 bits of memory. So short contains 2 bytes of memory. that is 16 bits of memory in it. It allocates only 16 bits of memory in it. What about the integer value? Integer value consists of 4 bytes of memory, that is 32-bit integer type value, and the long contains 8 bytes of space in it. Compared to the int and short, long contains more number of bytes, but as per the programming language, we discuss all the time complexities and the runtimes of all the data types and other things in the program. So we should consider the limited amount of space. We should not waste any time of space, so we should prefer the space required for the array or a given number. We cannot waste any space. Instead of int, we can put long int, but it takes space efficiency. Memory will be wasted so much. So by this we can gain the efficiency of program is decreased by this. Now coming to the next, floating point data types. It consists of two floating point data types, that is float, it consists of 4 bytes, and double, it consists of 8 bytes. Here float consists of 4 bytes of data, and coming to the before slide, here int consists of 4 bytes of data, but here there is difference is int contains only the values like 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Only integer values or negative values like -2, -3, 0, like this. It contains only the integer values but not the decimal values. This float contains the decimal values, like for example, decimal values means it consists of a point like 2.32 -2.356 or 3.256, etc., or 0.0000. Anything you can give in the float point data types. These consists of decimal numbers. Double data type. Double consists of 8 bytes of memory, which is greater than the memory of the float. We can give for the double for many examples, like executing the salary amount, like 20,000 of salary amount has been given for the customer, like 20,000 point 00. These largest numbers will be given under the double type. Now coming to the character type, it consists of 2 bytes of memory. 2 bytes means 16-bit of memory. It consists of characters like uppercase and lowercase letters. Coming to the booleans, they are true and false statements. If it is true, the given conditions will be executed. If it is false, the given conditions will be terminated and it will go to the exit loop. If you give a condition called as exit, it will go to an exit loop here. Otherwise the conditions will be executed if it is true. Now coming to the literals. Literals consists of different types like character literals and very different types like strings. Coming to the character literals, these are the literals like /n forms /n, /f and /t and /b. /n means it gives a next line for it. For suppose if you have a, like for suppose I am considering here as a system dot out dot println. There we can give a /n before the statement, or otherwise we can give as a, I am giving like as a first line. So after the system dot. Otherwise you can declare this as like this. It consists of system dot out dot println. So beginning of this you can give a name called a slash n, and we can print a second line like this, and we can close the brackets like this. By giving this slash n, it the second line executes in the next line, like new line will be created for the second line only. By this we can develop this Java code like this. But now coming to the here slash n and tab space. What does the tab space do? The tab space means it gives a space called as slash t. When you press any when you press the tab button, it gives a space like this, right? It gives a tab space for the given second line here. After executing, it will give a tab space, and it executes a word called as second line. And slash b gives a backspace. Backspace means it clears all the new feeds. And slash f gives a form feed, like it executes in the form of form like this. So we will go after executing the programs in the Java. We are using the other softwares for Java code. As this is a Android app development, we will use this all type of classes in the Android app development in the future doing programs. So now coming to the literals of a string. By enclosing a sequence of characters, a pair of double quotes, like we have given double quotes in a string, right, in system.out.println. That's the example for the string literals. We can write slash n lines, or slash n means here string literals, you have put in a slash n like this. So by keeping the slash n, it displays a output like this, like consider output like this. It prints like TWO2, and in the next line it prints as LI and ES. So it allocates a space for the lines in the next line. So this is the output for this statement, and the lines is printed on the next line, that is second line of the output. So this is the use of slash n, and these are the many quotes. Strings are classes. These strings are considered as classes too. In the classes we can consider as string names. Now coming to the variable declaration. Variable declaration is initialization, like it is two types, like static or a dynamic variable initialization. What is the static initialization? Static initialization means after we write a program like a public static, here we're declaring the main function as a static function, like public static void main string args. We are opening this function. This static here, static function means I have declared an integer variable here, like a comma b. These are the two integer variables I have declared. Now static function means it consists of a value at while declaration. While we declare the variables, it consists of a value like a equal to 1 or b equal to 2. For these two values only it gives a output. For suppose we print we give a value called as a sum here, and print a sum variable here, sum equal to a plus b. So it prints the sum of only 1 and 2 only, that it prints the sum as a 3 value. If not, this is a static. Now coming to the dynamic. Dynamic declaration is different from static declaration. Now we coming to the dynamic declaration, we should give a sequence like we should create a scanner class here. Scanner class means it's obj. It allocates a variable from the system. These are the scanner classes. We will give a input through the system. So here a equal to obj dot next. As it's a integer variable here, we consider it as int. We close the brackets, and b equal to obj dot next integer variable. Here obj is a scanner class we have declared here. This is the obj class. We have to call the input through this obj scanner class. We can give any input. While running the program, the dynamic initialization will be given. After the while running, the output will be executed on the screen. We should give the inputs in the output screen only, but not in the program palette itself. We should give the output on the output screen only, input in the output screen only. So whatever input we have given, it will take over the outputs like this. If you have given the integer as 2, after while giving the output 2 comma 3, 2 is initialized here and 3 is initialized here, then the sum will be displayed as sum equal to a plus b. Here I am declaring a plus b. Sum will be 2 plus 3 equal to 5. If you give the input like 6 comma 3 on the output screen, it will display 9 as a sum. This is a small program of declaring like static initialization and dynamic initialization. Now coming to the next slide. Now scope and lifetime of variables. Scope of a block means variables are created when they enter the scope first. Like the scope of a block is a block type, and these are the entry of the variables. These are the entry brackets and outer flower brackets here. So variables are declared before the flower brackets. Without they entering into the flower brackets, they are declared initialized previously. These are called as scope variables of a block. Now scope variables of a methods, variables are declared within the scope, like within the flower brackets. Here the flower brackets outside, the variables are initialized or created. Variables are created. Here the variables are declared inside the brackets. Now coming to the scope of the class, these variables are created when the scope is entered and destroyed when the scope is lifted. Likewise, what are you doing is these scopes are entered into the class, and after the finishing of all the lines of code, they are destroyed automatically by the scope. This is called as the scope of a class. This scope of a class is class and methods and block are different from each other. While coming to the scope of a block does not destroy all the variables like scope of a class, and scope of a method also does not destroy all the variables like scope of a class. So scope of a class is the best example. While running a program, we cannot retrieve the data after it is destroyed, but we can retrieve the data in the block and